Hello everyone, welcome back again to our LDM2 course for teacher. We'll be dealing for today on the Module 3A Lesson 2 Sample Responses. As I stated even before on the video that I already presented and uploaded, this LDM2 course for teacher would be a guidepost and a reference for teachers who are currently answering their study notebook and making their reflections. Now to start with, for this particular part, we'll be dealing with the Module 3A Lesson 2, which is designing lessons and assessment in the different LDMs. For your activity 1, read DepEd Order number 42 series of 2016 on the policy guidelines on daily lesson preparation as you go through the document. Write down your answers to the following questions in the study notebook. Your first question would be, what is lesson designing or lesson planning? You can incorporate your understanding of lesson designing and lesson planning, and you can also check it out in the policy guidelines on daily lesson preparation under the DepEd Order number 42 series of 2016. The second question would be, why is lesson designing important? You can incorporate this. Actually, question number 2 and 1 are somehow interrelated to each other. That's why I indicated here see response number 1, okay, to back up my answer on number 2. For number 3, what are the 3 elements or components of a well-designed lesson? I indicated here, first would be gathering lesson objectives from the MELCs. We will be using the most essential learning competencies for the new normal teaching compared to the previous one that we'll be using our curriculum guide, wherein MELCs derive from the curriculum guide. Number 2 would be choosing learning resources and learning tasks that can be downloaded in DepEd Commons and LRMDS portal. And the last one would be assessing learning. This is for the evaluation if your student got the mastery, insignificant mastery, or significant progress, or the mastery. That will be the level. Now to continue, for the activity 2, you are tasked that the second component of a well-designed lesson asks teachers to select and sequence teaching and learning activities that would help learners meet the learning objectives. These learning tasks can be presented before, during the lesson proper, and after the lesson proper. Now, this activity, you are tasked to indicate what are the essential qualities or the needed part of the DLL or DLP that should be found on the before the lesson, on the lesson proper, and after the lesson. This would be our responses. Okay, you can pause the video if you want to double check the answer. And to continue, on the latter part of this module, and the activity 3, lesson design does not end after implementing the lesson. That's correct. After the delivery of lesson, teachers should take time to reflect on what worked well and why, and what could have been done differently. Identifying successful and less successful activities and strategies would make it easier to adjust and revise the lesson plan as needed. In your study notebook, copy the components of the daily lesson log or detailed lesson plan listed below. Then highlight which parts or part is or are accomplished after the lesson is delivered. Now, I highlighted the remarks and reflection because they should be accomplished after the lesson. Now, my answer here would be as stipulated in DepEd Order number 42 of 2016. Actually, you need to support your responses with DepEd Order with references. You can cite the name of the DepEd Order or DepEd Memorandum or any law that can support your claim or your opinion. Now, after that, on activity 4, you'll be doing this. Check if it is MDL or ODL or what type of learning delivery modality you have. Then the subject area, the topic, the objectives, and the learning resources or the materials needed. Then you just need to check if these parts are presented in the self-learning module. Now let's try to browse. On this particular part, I haven't put check mark on provide learners with feedback because this can be done by sending individual evaluation through chat or phone call, or can be written and be sent on the next pickup of modules. Providing learners feedback from the teacher is not actually indicated in the self-learning module because self-learning module has only the key to correction on the assessment, but we can also provide assessment. We can also provide feedback to our learner via chat or in a written form. Then another one, I also not check this part that reinforce what teacher has taught, because the SLM has various activities including varying diagnostic and formative assessments. Supplementary worksheets can also be provided to learners depending on the level of assessment they need. I will be also providing additional worksheet that may possibly suit the learner's need and abilities, of course. After checking and identifying the part that we need to enhance, you will also tasked to answer the following. For learning tasks not found in SLM, you examine what materials or resources can you create or curate to implement or to supplement the SLM. I answered that. Feedback mechanism. Another one, what kind of additional support can you give to the learner and to the household partner so that they are guided through the lesson? I also answered this part. And how can the teacher gather feedback on the different learning tasks in order to refine or modify current and future lessons? Now for activity 5, you'll be doing a Venn diagram, the usual one. Assessment is always part of designing instruction. You need to read the DepEd Order number 8, series of 2015 on the policy guidelines on classroom assessment. Okay, you will be tasked to compare summative assessment into the formative assessment and what would be their commonalities. Okay, to continue, we also have activity 6, wherein there are various methods of assessment. You need to read the table number 2. This is very important, teachers, that you need to read the table number 2 of DepEd Order number 8, 2015 on the policy guidelines on classroom assessment, wherein you will be listing down the possible assessment method that you can use and how to adapt the assessment method in the distance learning. Okay, actually you will be answering here. It's a far different from the normal face-to-face because we will be dealing on distance learning. Therefore, the execution, the manner of delivery will be different. I actually pick KWL activities, open-ended questions, fuck or bluff, performance tasks, and written works. They are just common assessment method, but what varies on this particular part would be on how I can deliver them. That's the actually that's the task for that part. Now on the last part, you just need to have these responses. After sharing, maybe you can list down the ideas of your colleagues, then you can have a summary of that. Okay, to continue, we also have activity 7. It's too many for this part. It's just a matter of answering true or false. That will be my answer. Okay, true or false, and that's it. That would be the content for the study notebook module 3A lesson 2, covering, let us see the title. It covers designing lessons and assessment in the different LDMs. Please stay tuned, subscribe so that you can be notified of any updates that we can have on the DepEd, particularly during this new normal teaching. Happy learning, everyone. Sulong edukalidad.